Would you believe it? Same tomato variety, same garden bed, same packet of seeds. The year before last, I barely harvested 30 pounds. Last year, I picked over 90 pounds from the same patch. The only thing I changed was how I watered. The way you water your tomatoes every day might be silently destroying your harvest. Today, I'm going to share everything I learned over those 2 years, the mistakes I made, the tricks I picked up, and the buried bottle method an old market gardener taught me. First, ask yourself, do you do this too? Every evening you grab your hose, soak your tomatoes from head to toe, thinking you're quenching their thirst. Or maybe you water twice a day, afraid they'll dry out. Then what happens? Your tomatoes either crack like exploded watermelons, or they get that black rotten spot on the bottom, or they look big but taste like water, hollow inside like a rubber ball. You switch from expensive fertilizer to even more expensive fertilizer, but the problems stay. That's because you never understood. Tomatoes aren't afraid of drought. They're afraid of your chaotic watering. Let's start with the roots. The tomato's ancestors come from the semi-arid Andes Mountains in South America, where rain is scarce. To survive, tomatoes evolved roots that can reach 2 to 3 feet deep, searching for moisture deep in the ground. That is their built-in drought tolerance. But when you sprinkle a little water on the surface every day, you are teaching that root to be lazy. Water is right here, no need to go down. So all the roots stay in the top 2 or 3 inches of soil. When the summer sun hits, that top layer dries out fast, and those lazy roots wilt instantly. You panic and dump a bucket of water, the roots suck it up and send a flood to the fruit. The fruit flesh swells faster than the skin can stretch, fay, and crack. That is called wet fadery swing, the #1 cause of cracking, and that black bottom fay blossom end rot. Have you been grinding up eggshells and buying calcium sprays, thinking your soil is deficient? Most likely your soil has plenty of calcium. Calcium moves with water in the plant. When you water erratically, fay dry, then soaked, then dry fay, the calcium can't be delivered steadily to the far end of the fruit. The cell walls there never get built, and they rot. So blossom end rot is not a calcium deficiency in your soil. It is a watering disorder. Look at people who use drip irrigation, fay steady water fay. They hardly ever get blossom end rot. So how should you water? I've put together the golden rules of tomato watering from my years of experience. There are 6 of them. Rule 1, water only when dry, and then water deeply. How do you tell if the soil is dry? Don't look at the surface. Stick your index finger straight into the soil, about 2 inches from the main stem down to the second knuckle, fay 3 to 4 inches deep. If the soil feels cool and slightly moist, like a wrung fay-out sponge, don't water. If it feels bone dry and crumbly, then it is time. When you water, do it slowly so it sinks in. For in fay-ground tomatoes, give each plant 1 to 2 gallons per watering. Don't blast it with high-pressure fay. Let a slow trickle seep down. Water every 3 to 5 days, not every day. Rule 2. Water the roots, not the leaves. Tomato leaves hate staying wet fay. That is an invitation for powdery mildew and late blight. When you water from above, water collects in leaf joints and around fruit stems. The sun magnifies through those droplets, burns the tissue, and diseases move in. The right way is to deliver water right to the root zone. Use drip tape or dig a shallow basin around the plant and fill it. If you have to use an overhead sprinkler, do it in the morning so the sun dries the leaves quickly. Never water late in the evening. Rule 3. The hardening fay-off period. Fay the first 3 weeks after planting. Hold back water. After you transplant your tomato seedlings, give them 1 good soak. Then let them get thirsty. Let the soil surface turn white. Let the leaves wilt slightly in the afternoon sun. Then water deeply. This stresses the plant and forces roots to chase water downward. Deep roots mean your plants will laugh at summer dry spells. Rule 4. The fruiting stage, fay from fruit set to first color. Keep moisture steady. When the little fruits are marble fay-sized, you need to maintain even soil moisture. No more 3 Fe-day drought followed by a flood. Spread a 3 Fe to 4 Fe layer of mulch Fe straw, grass clippings, pine needles Fe around your plants. Mulch cuts evaporation by as much as 70%, stabilizes soil temperature, and slashes cracking. Rule 5. From first blush to harvest, reduce water. When your tomatoes start turning from green to pink, I want you to cut back on water. Mild water stress forces the plant to concentrate sugars in the fruit. The flesh gets firm, not hollow, and the sweetness shoots up. If you were watering every 5 days, stretch it to 7 or 8. If you were giving 1 gallon per plant, cut to half a gallon, but don't stop completely Fe. The fruit will soften and shrink. This one reduction can double your sugar content. Rule 6. Water in the morning, not at noon, not in the evening. The best window is 6 o'clock to 9 a.m. The soil has all day to absorb, and the leaves dry quickly. Evening watering isn't the end of the world, but the leaves stay wet all night, which invites disease. If you absolutely must water at noon, water only the roots. Fe keep water off the. Beyond these 6 rules, there are several watering taboos you must avoid. Taboo 1. Fe watering at high noon. In summer, the soil is hot. A shock of cold water stresses the roots, and the leaves will droop immediately. The water droplets on leaves act like magnifying glasses and can burn the tissue. Taboo 2. Fe flooding with a gusher. A hard blast of water runs off before it can soak in. The surface looks wet, but down deep it is still dry. Roots can't find water down there, so they stay shallow. The goal is to get water to the deep root zone, Fe to wash the leaf. Taboo 3. Fe watering on a fixed schedule regardless of conditions. You decide to water every 3 days, but under a blazing sun, the soil might be bone dry in 2 days. On cloudy days, it might stay wet for 5. Trust your finger, not the calendar. Taboo 4. Fe using ice Fe cold water straight from the hose. In winter, the water sitting in the hose is freezing. That cold shock can cause flowers to drop and fruit to crack. Fill a bucket and let it sit in the sun for half a day to come up to soil temperature. Now let me share a game Feichanger that an old market gardener taught me. I call it the buried bottle method. You need an empty 1 Fe gallon plastic jug, Fe milk jug, vinegar jug, whatever. Drill or poke 6 to 8 small holes around the bottom third of the jug Fe, about the size of a pencil lead. Then dig a hole next to your tomato plant, about 6 to 8 inches from the main stem, and bury the jug so that the neck and cap stick out 1 inch above the soil. Leave the cap loose or take it off entirely. Now, when you water, instead of aiming your hose at the soil, you just fill the jug. Water will seep out slowly through those holes over the next few hours, going straight to the deep root zone, Fe exactly where the plant needs it. No evaporation, no runoff, no wet leaves. You can fill the jug in 30 seconds and walk away. For large indeterminate varieties, I use 2 jugs per plant. For determinate or patio types, 1 jug is. The first time I tried this, my watering time was cut in half. Cracking dropped dramatically, and I hardly saw any blossom end rot in August. There are a few more watering complications that often get overlooked. A lot of people pile on thick mulch, but never adjust their watering amount. Mulch holds moisture. If you were watering twice a week before mulch, and you keep watering twice a week after mulch, the soil stays waterlogged. Roots suffocate and rot. Remember, after you add mulch, increase the interval between waterings, but keep the same volume per watering. For container gardeners, pots dry out faster, but they also can hold water at the bottom and rot roots. Put a thin layer of mulch on the surface of the pot. Water slowly and stop as soon as water runs out the drainage holes. After watering, empty any standing water in the saucer. Let me do the math for you. A gardener who waters wrong might have 10 tomato plants Fe 3 crack, 2 get blossom end rot, and they end up with less than half a harvest. Follow these rules, and cracking and rot nearly disappear. The fruits are uniform in size, and the sweetness is noticeably higher. The extra pounds you harvest will keep your family in tomato sauce all summer. I have an old neighbor named Ralph, 76 years old, who had been gardening all his life, but always complained about poor harvests. I went to his garden and watched him water. Every evening at the same time, hose in hand, he sprayed every plant from top to bottom. The soil surface was soaked, but underneath it was dry. I showed him the finger test, watering the roots instead of leaves, mulching, reducing water at blush, and the buried bottle method. He was skeptical. Too much water is bad. That year, his cracking rate dropped from 50% to less than 10%. His old favorite brandy wine produced perfect 1 half pound fruits. His wife brought me a basket and said she had never eaten a sweeter tomato. Growing tomatoes, fertilizer comes second. Get your watering right, and you'll need half the fertilizer, suffer half the disease, and double your harvest. Are you ready to rethink that daily habit of yours? Comment below. How have you been watering your tomatoes? Which of these mistakes have you made? Will you try the buried bottle method? Hit like and subscribe. Next time, I'll show you how to make an automatic drip system from a plastic bottle, so you can go on vacation without worry. Take care of your tomatoes, and they'll reward you with bright red fruits. I'll see you next time.